Thank you for purchasing our Maximum Reptile Evolution Series combination hood and spacer. This video will show you the complete assembly of the unit as well as how to position it on top of your Evolution Series enclosure. The first step is to make sure that you have all the parts before beginning the assembly. If you notice anything that is missing or has any damage upon delivery, please let us know before proceeding with the assembly. The tools that you will need will be a Phillips head screwdriver or a cordless drill that is dialed down to the lowest setting. This is important to make sure that you don't accidentally strip the holes when inserting the screws. You will also need a 3/16 drill bit to secure the locking pins that will help position your hood and spacer to the top of your enclosure. For the thermometer and hygrometer combo, you'll also need a 5/8 drill bit if you are positioning the probe into the top of the enclosure. Once you have checked all the parts, you can now begin positioning the template, which is part number 1 of your enclosure. It's very important that the hood bottom is lined up correctly with the enclosure. Make sure that the edge is flush with the front and is evenly positioned on the top from both sides before you drill your first hole. Please note that the pinholes are different from the outside holes that are used to screw the parts together. You will notice that the first hole is on the top surface and is positioned 4 inches away from the edges shown. Once you've lined up the template, drill straight down into the top of the enclosure using a 3/16 drill bit. It is important that you drill straight down and that you only drill into your enclosure approximately 1/4 inch. Once you've drilled the first hole, we recommend positioning the first peg, which will be snug and may require a small hammer to tap down until fully seated on top of your enclosure. You can then use your first pin as a guide to ensure that the other 3 holes will be evenly spaced. Now, repeat the steps for the other 3 holes, making sure you are only drilling into the holes that are 4 inches back from the edges. Each time you drill a hole, place the pin in the hole and press down to ensure that the template is correctly positioned. This is also a good time to drill the hole for the temperature and hygrometer probe, and we recommend doing this on the cool side of your enclosure. Once you have established where you would like the probe position, use a 5/8 drill bit to drill the hole, which will be just inside the template as shown. Now that you've used the template to position the 4 positioning pins and also the hole for your temperature and hygrometer probe, it's time to move on to the next step and complete the assembly of the hood and spacer. We recommend carrying out the assembly on the edge of a table or bench, and it is advised to put down a paper towel or blanket to prevent any scratching of the surfaces. Begin by aligning panels 1 and 2 as shown. We have already pre-assembled and drilled all the holes for you in our workshop so that these parts will go together easily, but it's always important to make sure that the ends are upright and also flush with the bottom template. This way you'll find that the drill holes will easily find their way into the same holes. Please note, if you use an electric drill, please be very careful to make sure it's on the lowest setting and that you do not over tighten the screws. PVC is a soft material and it is quite easy to strip the thread. You can also just use a Phillips head screwdriver, but it does take a little longer. Once you have it in position and it is upright and flush, please add the rest of the screws before rotating your enclosure and repeating the same steps on the other end by adding panel number 3. In the next step, you will add the front face to the assembly, which is marked as panel 4. Before proceeding, it is important to make sure that the middle hole of the panel is positioned at the top. Carefully add the rest of the screws into the bottom of the hood before moving on to finishing screwing in the ends securely. Be mindful as you go in order to maintain a flush alignment on the panel edges. With the first 4 pieces secure, it's time to add the top as shown, which is marked as panel number 5. Begin with one of the front corners. After aligning the edges, add your first screw. Once in place, the first screw will position the panel and ensure for better alignment with the rest of the unit. Now that the first corner is fastened tightly, we recommend screwing in the other front corner, which should perfectly align the top piece with the completed front assembly. Now you can add the rest of the screws in the front and sides as shown. Finally, it's time to assemble the final panel, marked number 6. This panel is the rear of the hood, and making sure that it's positioned as shown, and as in previous steps, please make sure that the first corner is correctly aligned before inserting the screws around all 4 sides. The last assembly step is to secure the temperature and hygrometer gauge in place by using the screws and plastic clips as shown. We recommend this step be done with a screwdriver only so that the screws are firm but are not over tightened. This will securely hold the temperature pieces in place and allow you to simply move the clips to the side when you need to remove it or to replace a battery, etc. The batteries for these temperature probes are commonly available and will need to be changed approximately every 6 months. You can replace it with a 1.5 volt AG10 battery. You can now place the magnetic doors onto the front of the hood as shown. Now that the assembly is complete, it's time to position it onto your enclosure. For easy use, we recommend that you place your lighting setup first. You can then place the hood over it, making sure that no cords are in the way that might prevent your hood from properly sitting onto your enclosure. Once positioned, you can apply gentle force to make sure that the hood is all the way down onto your positioning pins. You'll notice that there is a series of large holes in the back of the hood which allows for airflow, as well as convenient openings to pass any cords through so that they can be plugged into your nearby outlet. Also, now is a good time to position the temperature probe as shown, making sure it is flush with the top. To prevent it from moving, you can also apply a dab of silicone onto the top of the hole, which will prevent it from accidentally slipping inside of your enclosure. Please note the temperature and hygrometer gauge will record your minimum and maximum temperatures and humidity levels, which is a valuable tool to check from time to time to ensure that your enclosure is maintaining correct temperature and humidity fluctuations. Congratulations! You have now fully assembled your Evolution hood and spacer. The setup will also allow for a second unit to be placed on top should you wish to stack your enclosures. We thank you again for your order. Should you have any questions or run into any issues during the assembly, please feel free to reach out to us at any time.